Hello guys, kind of a tier list video here today. This one is about Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and it's about the story characters, the human characters. We're not ranking Pokemon or anything, we're looking at the characters in the story, the most noble ones. Here it says 35, I believe there's less than that. I'm pretty sure they gave 2 slots for like the Team Star grunts. Now there is a grunt, who I will use. I'll use one of them as a placeholder for, because there is a named grunt that's worth talking about, I guess. And I guess there's probably like a few very minor characters that might show up once. Let's go back, but here we do have like all the gym leaders and like the Team Star bosses. You know, like all those popular characters, important ones like main story quest related, are there alongside the teachers of the academy. Now, to be honest, I can't remember most of the gym leader names or the teacher names, so I'll just go by in terms of like what subject the teachers teach, or the type of gym the gym leader's from, because overall they're still pretty minor characters, but I'll still rank them regardless. And I literally just got off the credits like 15 minutes ago for this main story. And yeah, it's pretty good. I think this game's actually a 10 out of 10. I haven't had enough, like, for me personally, none of the issues that have occurred in my save have been anything problematic enough to actually bother me. It's just been the fact that, hey, the graphics, not very great, you know? It's like GameCube era graphic stuff, but at the same time, it has a charm to it. Like it's still serviceable. It's, for me at least, for like my standards, because I don't really care about graphics, you know. If I did care about graphics, then the Switch would not be my main console. But yeah, and then besides that, there's like some slowdown in like the city areas, and that's about it. It's just visual stuff. So yeah, I had a pretty smooth playthrough, and I think what helps this game is the story. Now, you could take or leave the story with a Pokemon game. It doesn't matter if it's bad. You can just ignore it. But when the fact that it's good in this game is really helps give it like a memorable identity, you know, because I'm going to be fond of this game for like years to come. Like whenever the next Pokemon game's out, I'm like, oh yeah, this game is what made me a proper fan of the franchise. That's me, you know. Like, I'm very late to getting into Pokemon. I think the game I play is Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver, in terms of mainline entries, that is. And the story for that is dog shit. You know, I couldn't care less about it. I have Pokemon Shield, which I'll probably start soon after the main story of Pokemon Scarlet. But there's still a lot to do, obviously. There's lots of replay value and whatnot. Like, I still have to catch like nearly 200 Pokemon, at least 150 I still need to get. So yeah, there's a lot to do. But yeah, I'm at the point where I know most of the characters, and I've had most of the, well, probably all the encounters. The only thing I don't think I've witnessed all of is the all the interactions with like the teachers, because you can actually interact with them, and you can like build bonds when you like go visit them around the school, which I think is very cool. I think that's some very good side content, especially when you do actually get stuff out of it, like the classes as well, which is cool. I wouldn't say they're most fun, nor do I find the teacher characters to be that engaging, but I do appreciate that as an added thing. But anyway, I need to catch my breath. I've been rambling there for 4 minutes. Just got a tier list. So we got the best tier, we got the great tier, fun, impartial, dislike, and the worst. I made these tiers. So yeah, it is the top 3 that are like good. I've chose fun because, you know, this is still a Pokemon game, so a lot of characters are not gonna have much depth. So a lot of them will just come across as, well, I don't dislike them. I think they're fun. I think they're good for the game, you know. But impartial's like, I don't really care for them. And dislike is dislike, and then the worst goes to one particular character who I think is really bad. My only major critique with this game at all is a specific character who I think is appallingly written. But yeah, we got the list here. I'm guessing this is the player. Now, I'm not really going to rank that because I don't... The protagonists of Pokemon games don't have a personality. You have, like, choices in what you can say, but they're all pretty irrelevant, you know? And when you think about those choices, you don't really think much of, oh, this character's personality or anything. You know, it's more of just, hey, which option do you prefer? It doesn't really matter. But yeah. So, yeah, I'm not really bothered about that. I feel it would help in the future if, like, your character has, like, more dialogue stuff. Like, they get their own text dialogue, you know? Instead of just the occasional option that doesn't really matter. It's just kind of so that, hey, you're engaging in this conversation. Not I don't think it's a big enough issue with this game's writing that it's like noticeable though. It's not like, oh, look at all these characters talking, then there's just you. So yeah, I mean, if I'm to rank the player character, I'm gonna put him in impartial. Here you have the Team Star grunts. They're not really characters. I definitely have recurring. They reuse these two models a lot. But the thing with well, this is the thing with all Pokemon games, is that like your random NPC encounters, they're just going to be like reusing the same things based on what like type of trainer they are. So you got the Team Star grunts, and then you got like musicians. You got student characters. Student characters is actually quite a variety of like different looks for the students and whatnot. But you get the idea. So yeah, I'm not really gonna rank them, albeit there is one that is actually named. They are named, and they do show up in like the story for a bit. For like the I can't remember bases, but the Eri battle. What type were they? I can't remember, which is bad, but yeah, Eri, good character. But yeah, one of her friends, because the thing with Eri is, I guess we should talk about them both now, is Eri's a really cool Team Star boss, and like the strongest one. The last encounter I did in terms of the ones you go to whenever you want in the open world, because she's the strongest one, and she's at the very top right of the corner, so probably the hardest to reach. So yeah. I really like her, and I like that she's like guarding the gates herself. She's protecting her own grunt. She's protecting her team rather than the team is protecting her. And the only reason it goes to, hey, Eri, we're gonna protect you so you can have the traditional gameplay formula is that this grunt called Carmen shows up, and they're Eri's friend, and you know, I believe they were so close because she explained she was like the popular kid, and then they bullied Eri, and then the kids just moved on to bullying the next person, which turned out to be her for whatever reason. But then Eri like was friendly to her, and then they became friends. Because Team Star's whole thing is they're not actually a crime organization or anything, and it's kind of goofy because it's such a silly reason. But they're like a group formed on just like stopping bullies, which kind of weird. But the thing is, like on this island, like half of it's probably students. There's a lot of students here. The academy's probably the biggest building on the island. So yeah, it makes sense why it's a big thing on the island, and obviously it's going to be a big thing for students. So yeah, I think it worked in this game. I don't know the backstory details as to what the fuck was even going on with the academy before. Needs a bit more elaboration, but I don't think that's the fault of any characters. I think that's just the storytelling itself. But yeah, I think Karma's really cool. That it tells you a lot about Eri and also a lot about herself. Because you got a bit of backstory there, and well, none of these are Carmen's model, but I'll use the woman anyway. So I think pretty great, and yeah, that might be a bit high for a grunt, but when you're looking at a Pokemon story, that is like a very serious, character driven interaction there, which is quite emotional. And maybe in like this game, it's like, oh wow, Pokemon having interesting storytelling. The other grunt, I can't think of any other grunts of note, so we're just gonna move you down. Are there any others standing out here? No, doesn't seem like it. Oh, there's another player, right? Put him down. I guess I can use them as placeholders for other characters. But I don't think there's anyone else I want to talk about anyway. I think it's just Carmen. So, yeah. We got the gym leaders here. I'll probably go through them pretty quick. Because even though they broke the traditional Pokemon game formula, in the sense that there's more to do than just the gyms, there's still the traditional gym formula within the game. It's just there's more going on. Which I think is fine. I wouldn't want them to change that because the whole beat the 8 gym leaders and then you can face the Elite Four and then the champion. That's like a good structure and a good thing to aim for as a player. And for fun, I'll just go through these in order that I did them. So we'll start off with this lady. This is the bug gym leader, and she's like a chef and whatnot. So she's in like an apron. So she's got like a bakery, I think. And yeah, she's just very kind. She's a very sweet lady, and that's about it. And which I like. I think that's pretty good. Probably like a low grade, Maybe great should be good, because fun is like very specific. I think if you have more going on beyond like the service of, oh, it's a quirky character, I like that, then you go above the fun tier. So maybe we add a good tier. I'll consider it. But yeah, I think she's one of the better gym leaders. She's a lot more human, because a lot of them are just such like gimmicky and just like really exaggerated personalities that you can't really find yourself interested or liking them. But I like her. She was very friendly. So yeah, the next thing I did was actually the water gym. Now, my experience game, I set my target for the water gym, and I just did whatever was on the way there. I don't want to do that because at the city you can get a Quagsire. Just if I mention that. Which, if we're talking about Sue, the NPC who gives you the Quagsire, S tier character there just for giving us Quagsire in this game. Thank you, Sue. Thank you very much. But yeah, this guy, I can't remember his name, it's like Kona or something. He's a bit interesting, ain't he? He's a bit of a weird fella. Now, the first thing is he's got a childlike personality. Like the people working in the gym are like basically his babysitters. Weak, he's an old man. I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. It's very weird. It's very strange, especially without context. It's kind of like, oh, he's just a goofy character, but yeah, it just makes him kind of weird, and he's kind of creepy, to be honest. Because what I have to do is how he left his wallet when he went to the market. So you bring it to him, and then he's like, oh, why don't you go win an auction for me? Like, what the fuck? Why are you getting a 10-year-old to bid? Very weird. He's a very weird man. And when you help him out, he's like, okay, yeah, that's your gym test. Even though it's not a proper test. Very odd. I appreciate the gym tests having like variety, but they do feel more like filler than anything. But I didn't mind this one because I got to travel through the desert to get there, and that was cool. The desert area is cool in this game. So yeah. When we got to the battle, he's like getting ready to fight, and then these kids come up to him and it's like, oh, let's play and whatnot. Now, I think the significance of that was supposed to be like, hey, he's more than just a gym leader. He's like a friend of like the entire community and whatnot. So he's a good man. But his children come up to this really weird childlike old man, and it's just kind of suspicious. It's kind of sussy, as the kids would say. So I don't know. I don't really like him. I don't like him, I'm afraid. He's inoffensive because it's just a gym leader, but I don't like him. Like I appreciate him trying like with the very quirky characters for the gym leaders, because gym leaders show up once, you know, except for one in this game, and they're very cool. The one that does show up again. But yeah, it just means I don't find him likable. They become more memorable, I'll give him that much, but is he good? Next, I believe I did this guy because I went to the right. After I did that, I want to go to the right, so and like build up another team, which was cool. This guy's a very edgy boy. He's got like these spiky hair things, and he's like an artist. So imagine a stereotypical artist, and that's your guy. I don't really have much to say about him. I'm pretty impartial to his existence. So yeah, I'm gonna try and order these, but I don't really have much to say on. I mean, he's probably got more character than the protagonist. You know. What did I do next? Oh, yes. I did this next. And this is just she's terrible. She is awful. This is the electric gym leader. By the way, the previous one was the grass gym leader. Yeah, this one's the electric gym. And her whole thing is, oh, I'm a streamer. We're so down with the kids, the Pokemon company, that we've got a streamer because, you know, all the kids like watching their favorite streamers like RT Game on the Twitch.tv, you know, and it's so unbearable. It's so awful, and also they even like imply that she's just doing it for the money anyway, like all the views, something like that. She's like, oh, views. I mean, and basically, you need to do, like, the gym doesn't actually find, like, to be the funnest of the gameplay, because you've got Clavel who shows up. Why was he even there? Why was Clavel at the gym? I just realised, I don't know why he was there. But yeah, you were basically doing, where's Clavel instead of where's Wally? And that was funny. So, yeah. That was the game. She was playing on her Twitch stream, I guess. But yeah, very unbearable. Just cannot stand her. I wanted to beat her as soon as possible. Next, I think I went back around and fought Larry. Now, Larry does a lot more to talk about. Larry's really cool because, firstly, his whole gimmick is he's like some overworked guy. He's just doing business. He's very respectful about it. It's like, oh, I hate kids. I'm so disgruntled. He's just like quite tired, you know. You can see with his eyes. He's a very tired boy, and he just trying to just do his job. Because the boss, I believe they reveal later on, is the top champion, Gita. So yeah, which they reveal later on because he appears later on. So we are introduced to like all the members of the Elite Four, which I like. I like how you just don't how like you actually know who they are, even if they just show up for like one scene or whatever. You actually know who they are and you know their personality going into it. Instead of just, oh, you're at the Elite Four now, here's some random guys. It's much better that way. Because with gym leaders, you can do it anyway. And even then, you get to know a lot of the gym leaders from just the gym tests you do before the battle. You know, it gives them more dialogue time. So that's something. But yeah, we get to meet a lot of them, except for the the third one when you go back then, and that turns out to be Larry, which is was a very fun reveal. To have Larry, especially when he's my favorite gym leader. I think most people's favorite gym leader to begin with. So it was very charming to have Larry show up, and I like the whole vibe he has with the whole with the rest of the Elite Four. They're kind of like a little family, which I like. I think that's wholesome. And he even congratulates you and stuff. He's very nice. He's a nice guy. He's just very sleep deprived. So he's a very fun character. Fun would definitely fit his description, but he's so good. He's got to go in the best. He's got to go in the best. He's very good. He's a very good character. Next, and I just realised I can't even rank Eri, even though my whole thing was to rank her alongside Carmen. I forgot to do that. Oh well, that's fine. We'll come back to her. I didn't even say anything about her anyway. So anyway, next is what did I do next? I did a psychic gym, and this lady isn't a psychic. She's just someone who likes fucking makeup and stuff. That's about it. I'm pretty impartial to her. I'll put her at the top of impartial. But yeah, that's all I've got to say about her. And next to, so next I did this, Dark Top, which I do actually like the whole gameplay experience of that, because it was actually a double battle the whole time. And the gym test was double battling MC Sledge. He's not on this list, but if I were to rank him, he'd go in fun, I guess, or impartial. I don't know. I don't really care. Yeah, but probably makes him impartial. I'm saying I don't care. Regardless, we have this lady who raps. She is she is a rapper. This old lady is just rapping, and God, it's so cringy. This is why I'm glad Pokemon doesn't have any voice acting in it, because I know people are demanding for that. I'm glad it's not here. I'm glad it's not. Just because it avoids when you have cringe dialogue like this. I think she's somehow even worse than the Twitch lady. I just was skipping her dialogue. Oh, she's unbearable. These three are prime examples of when you get too goofy. You know, at least the War Gym guy I can kind of get the appeal of, but the other two are just ooh. Very ooh. Last character here we have Frost. So femboy, that's cool. Like that's a cool aesthetic. They look cool. And they're kind of like angsty, I guess, to you, which I'm like, oh, I actually quite like that, surprisingly, because all the other gym leaders have been weirdly friendly. So yeah, but then after you beat him, he's like, oh yeah, I respect you. Let's do a Chad handshake, and that's about it. They also are a skier or a snowboarder. I can't remember. That's their hobby. Cool. I'm pretty impartial to them. I say the ones I'm impartial to, and I don't know. I have some interest in them, but I think that's just because of their design, rather than anything actually presented about a character. The Ice Gym was just very nothing. It wasn't even in a city, and that's the last one I did. So yeah, that was something. Moving on, we have the Elite Four members. Okay, so Rika is really cool. Like, she's so fucking awesome. So best, I'll probably put her above Larry actually. We get to interact with her like quite a few times actually. Where like I think it's like 3 interactions you have. Basically, when you meet the Elite Four members, they will show up like after you do like a set amount of gym numbers, and after you beat them, they're like waiting for you in the lobby to introduce themselves. So you get to know them. you get introduced to them at least. Obviously, I don't think it's enough to like know them as much as like the main characters, obviously. But Rika does feel very fleshed out, especially for an Elite Four member. And something that really helps her is you have this like little assessment before you begin, and she interviews you. Which the interview questions were really fucking dumb because they expect us, the player, to remember the city name and the character names. And I know most players I'm going to care about the story, especially not the gym leaders. I'm going to get a tier list of it, and I can't even say I care about half of them. So, yeah. That's what I got to say to that. But like her character, I think it's very cool for her character because she's like actually like trying to analyze you. She wants to know if you understand Pokemon and you're not someone who just like basically speed ran your way to get to Elite Four, and that you actually have like a connection with Paldea and that you're deserving of the opportunity. And I think that's cool. And then she's the first Elite Four member you fight. Very chill. I like it. I like how organized the Elite Four feel, you know? It feels like a legitimate organization, and quite a wholesome bunch. So yeah, it's much better than in previous games. I really like Rika. Next is Poppy. We meet her once before with Rika. Rika's like kind of like her older sister. They're a very wholesome duo, and they have like very fun interactions. But she definitely has the least of the Elite Fours. She's fun. I think she's definitely fun. She wasn't actually like an irritating kid or anything. She's very wholesome actually. But there's just not much to say about her. She's just fun. So yeah. Next is Hassel, and they're like the last Elite Four member. They use dragon types. They're really fucking cool. They're one of the teachers. They're the art teacher. And I like the little detail how they have like a dragon type Pokemon. I can't remember which one, but they did have a dragon type Pokemon who is their like assistant during his classes. I find that to be a very cool detail. And the fact that they're a teacher means you can interact with them a lot more than like the other Elite Four members, which helps them as a character. Because I feel I know him a lot more than the rest. Except maybe Rika. Like Rika, you know quite a lot about. So yeah, I think we got another best tier character. He's just a very good personality. All the teachers are quite likable, I find. Some I'm partial to, but there's no like really weird ones. I don't think. But yeah, I like Hassel, and also when you win, he like cries. He's like, "Oh, I'm so proud of you." Like very wholesome teacher. I like Rika more for like personal reasons, but Hassel's probably they're probably even actually. Larry, I might be reaching actually, putting him in the best. I think that might be a bit biased of me. I don't know. I'll keep Larry in the best. Fuck it. Next is Champion Gita. I honestly don't really care about her. I don't think there's anything wrong with her character. I just find her to be a bit bland. Which is fine, obviously. But and you do meet her, you encounter her quite a lot beforehand. It's not like we only meet her at the end. You eventually at the start of the game, she like talks with Nimona and stuff because they're both champions. So it's not like she has a lack of screen time. For a role, she has plenty. She just like wants to watch you and Nimona battle, which is cool. But I just don't have much to say about her. She doesn't really have much of a personality. I could just be totally missing something. I might have just not been paying attention to. The only time she really has anything going is like when you meet on a rooftop for the champion battle. She says some shit like she has like a problem where she just can't hold back in Pokemon battles, and that's why so few have been able to beat her, because she just goes fucking crazy when battling. Cool, but also aren't you supposed to not hold back anyway? You're not supposed to let people win, right? I don't know. It didn't do anything for me. But I think that's worth noting. I think I'm partial to her. Oh, but I love the gym leaders. I'll give it that much. But yeah, I'm pretty impartial to her again. A lot of characters are impartial. Next is Mr. Jack. They are the biology teacher. They're also your tutor, I think. Yeah, they're your tutor. That detail isn't really relevant at all. It's just your first class. You don't have like any more tutor classes or anything like that. So yeah, but that's another detail. I think he's a fun character. I like the fact that he's the one who's designed a Pokédex app and whatnot. That's cool. And I really like how you can go visit him in his classroom. I like how much there is to explore the actual academy. And there's like surprisingly a lot within there. I do appreciate that. And yeah, if you fill up your Pokédex, you get a shiny charm from him, and you get like some other rewards heading into that. I think that's really cool. And I only discovered it recently. I haven't completed my Pokédex yet. But yeah, that's a good incentive to complete it. And he's just quite fun. Just a nice dude. All the teachers are nice, which is good. I'll put her at the top, put him at the top of fun. So it's good. It's good. Next we got, I can't remember. Oh, it starts with a G. I can't remember her name. She is the battle teacher. That's also probably the wrong name of the subject. But it's about Pokemon battling, right? She has a bit more going on than other teachers I found. But I say no, I'm not too fond of her. I don't know. She's kind of fun, but also she doesn't do it for me, but I don't really have a problem with her. Because the whole thing is just very overexciting. Like, I already have a Nimona for this, you know? Why is every woman who likes battling Pokemon just so hyper? Like, chill the fuck out. Just because you nuke it a lot, like, learn my name, please. I don't learn your name, but you should learn my name. Come on. Even though I'm not a new kid anymore, it's weird. Unless you can lay on, because that's something I should mention now. Because you have the interaction with the teachers, I don't think I've completed all the interactions you can have. And I've only reached like the midterms on most of the exam stuff. I've only completed the biology one fully. So yeah, there's might be a bit more, but I assume there's nothing like that'll really change my mind hugely in doing them. I'll probably do them eventually, but yeah. Deborah, that's her name. I hope. I've just blurred out some random name. She's fun. I'll put her at bottom of fun. I'll give her that. The last thing I was doing with her was like teaching how to cook with the home ec teacher, who I like. I like them. This guy, I can't remember his name. And I thought it was Mr. Salvatore, which is the language teacher. So, yeah, I don't know who that is, who this guy is called. But, yeah, they're great. I like them. I'm putting them all the way up here. They're very friendly. And I like their whole aesthetic, you know. And I haven't really mentioned it much in terms of... Well, when I bring it up, I don't use it in a way to... say whether that changed my opinion on the character. I think it makes him cooler and whatnot, but I'm kind of looking at like personalities and stuff. But I think it helps in this guy's case in particular because he's this really buff man and he's like teaching like kids how to like cook and stuff, and he's wearing like pink clothes and stuff, like absolute gender norm destroyer. I respect it. So yeah, he's very cool. And we got the languages teacher. Kind of imposter, but I did have an encounter with him where I helped him like nurse this, I think it was a poor me back to health. So yeah, again, another wholesome teacher character. I don't know. because I don't really have much to say about him, but I don't think I'm deserving of impartial. Um, Actually, I find him just having a great year. Maybe I don't know. Where do I put this guy? Bottom of fun. You know, I think he's a nice dude. And languages is just like you learn Spanish. You learn basic Spanish. So yeah, because Paldea is set in, it's the Pokemon equivalent of Spain. So yeah, that's cool. I think he's cool. I just wasn't sure if fun was the right way to describe him. But I would put him behind those characters there. I don't know. It's tough to look at. I'm just going to move, because we got Doohies here. And I'll move her back. So, Miss Tim, I think, or Time. I don't fucking know how to pronounce it. Maths teacher. She actually gets a main story appearance, like Mr. Jack, where she will show up and gets angry at Clavel because Clavel challenged you to a Pokemon battle, and gets her to write an apology note. I don't know who to, because it wasn't for me. I don't know who the fuck it was for. I can't remember. But yeah, she's like very nice. She's like very friendly with kids, like most of the teachers here. But like it's very much like highlighted with her. She's like very protective of them, which cool. That's cool. I think she goes like next to this, because they're both kind of like, oh, they're like sweet mom figures, I guess. Just because she appears more, I'm gonna put her above the bug type gym leader. But yeah, next is a history teacher. I'm very impartial to him. I can't. But the thing is, I don't know if this is the fault of the character, because I genuinely can't remember anything with him. Maybe I just need to do more encounters with her. I'm gonna have to put her in impartial for now, but I think that might be an unfair ranking on my behalf. But I'll put her there above the gym leaders. But yeah, she is the history teacher. Next is the nurse, and the nurse is really interesting because she's not a teacher. You don't have any classes with her or anything. She doesn't show up in the story. But you can go to nurse's office and meet her, and she's like, oh yeah, please visit me, and like tell you like stories and whatnot. And she, like, when you come back to tell her about that stuff, she's like, damn, she's upset because she doesn't like being stuck in a nurse's office, because she wants to because it's not what she wants. She wanted to like be a teacher and teach like healthcare stuff. But she didn't pass for whatever reason. I can't really remember. And yeah, she doesn't like nurse's office because it's just where kids go when they want to skip class. It's not really anything to apply her knowledge properly, she finds. So yeah, so when you next see her, because you told her like about like your treasure hunt stuff, she's like inspired to go study to retake that test. I haven't progressed with that storyline, but that's really cool. I think that's a lot for a character who is literally such a side character that they're on the side of the side quests. It's crazy. But yeah, they're very friendly. They're just very nice. And I like that whole arc thing. They have like an arc going on. So I think that's good. And they're probably the best top of great. They could even be in the best, really. When you look at like such simple but effective things like that can really boost the character in Pokemon standards, you know? I think they're quite strong. So I'll put them in top of all that. And yeah. Next is Mom. So you can actually go, if you go back to your house whenever in the game, you can get items from her and you have like some unique interactions with her. Nothing that special, but I find that cute. She's not just a bank account anymore. But at the same time, your mom's not going to appear in like a story after the introduction stuff, which is weird because you get your own dorm room. I wish you could customize it. I feel like, I don't know why that's a thing you have if it's not something to customize. Maybe that's something I was cut from the game. Because it's weird because your mom's house is so close to the academy, It's like a 30-minute walk, you know. Um, so I don't know why I need to move into dorms. I don't get that. But regardless, she's nice. Again, this game does mom figures very well. Very friendly, except one. Except one. So yeah, put her above this lady. But you don't get many interactions with her, you know. Technically, you only really see her once in the story, and it's your fucking mum. So, Clavel sees her plenty of times, I imagine, though. But you know what? Kind of character should probably cover Clavel. Albeit Clavel's actually kind of a main character, so but we'll save him. We'll do the Team Star Bosses now, which is the main reason I want to do this video, because the Team Star Bosses are fucking good. They're very good. And if it's doing the... So I started off with the dark one. Como. Gia Como, I think the full name is. And I realized, like, oh shit, this game actually has some, like, deep storytelling going on. It's got some serious stuff. And it's got some characters that aren't just gimmicks. There's more going on. And I really like the subversion, where Team Star's actually just a group of good people, you know? And they're just trying to do good things. I think that's cool. Instead of just having them be villains or whatnot, I really like how there's no real villain in this game, because I don't think Pokemon can write good villains, honestly. I think there's a character who should be classed as a villain, but even if they were, I wouldn't call them a good villain. So yeah, even like the main antagonist isn't really a villain. It's just how it is. It's just AI stuff. We'll get to that. But yeah, Como's very chill. His whole thing is he's just like DJ stuff. But unlike this fucking lady, she's not irritating. He's not irritating. Why do I keep misgendering everyone? What? I'm sorry. Como is great. Very great. I'd put him at the top, honestly. 18 star members go quite high. There's a two that I'm not as fond of. But yeah. Next is Melly. One of them's a nickname. Regardless, I got it right. So I just realized she's wearing a purple choker in this. It was a red in my... It's one of the exclusives of Sky and Violet that the colour of Melly's choker changes. Is that actually a thing? I'm going to have to research that. I don't know if this is an edit. That looks legit. I don't know what you think. She's not the worst. She's good. Best. So... Again, you kind of still have like these gimmicky personalities, because Fire Team is, so she's like a hothead, but it's not as simple as that. She's like quite like she cares about like the team. They all care about the team, but yeah, it's damaged highly when you have like a character who's just got like a fire personality, because yeah, she just wants to do well for the team and she just wants to help out. Yeah, I like her very much. And it's not just because of her look. I swear. I swear. That might be there might be a bias like with Larry. Probably. There's probably a bias there. But yeah, what I especially liked and what I found really fun was, it has happened a few times, but it was pretty cool in this, because my Quagsire just sweeped her team because water type. So I just sweeped her base. And she was like, oh yeah, your Quagsire really showed us. And the thing that's really good for you guys, each one, after you beat them, you get like a year and a half ago flashback of like all the bosses interacting with each other. So you've got like 5 interactions just there, and then you have like a 6th one later on. So that's really good. That's a lot of interactions for a Pokemon game between these characters. I'm glad they did that so you could see them interact, and you can see what they're really like when they open up with around their friends. I like all the backstory stuff. There's a lot. And that's just very great. Next is Atticus. I think he's probably the weakest of the Team Star leaders. but I don't think he's bad. I think it's just because of how gimmicky they made him specifically, because he's a poison crew leader, right? And he's got like this ninja vibe going on. I'm like, okay, that's fine because they're all wearing like pretty like extravagant, like flashy outfits. So I'm cool with that, like that being like a gimmick. But he talks in like Shakespearean tongue, and I'm like, why? There's no reason for it. They just kind of do it because, oh, we're just gonna make him some like fucking posh Shakespearean for no reason. And it detracts from him because then he feels much more gimmicky. But he's still good. And he's very good. And I do like how like a student comes to the base to see him and like thank him for like having him like bullies and stuff. Again, that's like the whole thing. And I think that's cool. I think he's fun. He's probably top of fun. So yeah, good on Atticus. Next is, how have I forgot his name? I don't know. So this is a rich kid. They're all implied to be like from rich families, you know, and they don't let that, like they don't use that to advantage. They just do things on their own. It's like a team, and that's cool. And like he's with like the old headmaster of the thing, and that's like a whole backstory thing I don't really want to get into. It was kind of oddly told. Don't want to follow the characters again. I don't want to get into that character. But this guy, the youngest member, second strongest as well. There's order of strength for going in here. And it was the order I did. I did the bosses in the correct order this time. And he's like the fairy team leader. It's pretty cool. I just don't have as much to say about him, you know. It's just kind of like repeating stuff we've already seen from other characters. Like he cares about the team and whatnot. It just gets kind of repetitive at this point and doesn't have anything to stand out. But saying that, I think it's good because he doesn't have anything like really gimmicky to enforce that. I don't think like hey, he's a smart kid. That's cool. He's not an annoying kid. That's cool. I don't know. I don't go insane. These aren't very good summaries of the characters, are they? Again, I haven't planned out any of this. I literally just finished the story. But yeah, I think he's in a fun area. You know, probably with Angus above him, maybe. You know what? Am I going great? Because we got Mom and this lady here. They might go. Yeah, they're going great. Okay. I'll allow it. They're going great. I'll pick you above. And yeah, I'm much happier with that. Yeah. Do I move these three to fun? Because again, I think it's something sample. I don't know if that really fits them, but I don't think they're that great. I think they're fun. Because if I were to make a good tier, I'd probably put them in the middle. But yeah, I'll probably put them in fun. You know, you got your fun mom figures. Eri's very cool. I already covered like a whole thing of one for a team, and she's a good fighter. She's very powerful. Mellie's girlfriend, very poggers, very cool. And just good interactions, like highlight stuff. Like I can't really like explain it because it's just the interactions how a lot between themselves, and it all gives them like the same kind of bonuses in a sense that hey, they feel like again, it's like the Elite Boy. Hey, they've got like a family bond, and that's cool. So yeah, she's probably the best one. Actually, I think her and Mel are definitely my favorites. So yeah, we'll go with that. Next is Clavel, and Clavel is a fucking the amount of ups and downs with this guy, he is a fucking seesaw. So there are aspects of him I like, aspects of him I don't like. Overall, I think he's good. like he does some weird stuff, like the Clive disguise. It just wasn't that funny. I think the fact that it's supposed to be like a blatant disguise is fun, and like it's very over the top. But again, it's that like whole boomer writing, and I know it's intentional here. But the thing is, this game actually has that as a genuine shortcoming with their writing. So the joke's kind of on them. And the same applies for when he reveals the skies, and it's like, oh wow, what a surprise. And it's like, haha, that was very obvious. But at the same time, in this very same storyline, you have Cassiopeia, I don't even know how to pronounce it, the fucking hacker bitch, who is blatantly Penny, like the most blatant twist there is. And you have that, and you're supposed to take that seriously. And yeah, I think the role he plays in this storyline is good because he's trying to figure out what's going on with Team Star, why they aren't coming to the academy, because he is the director. And I think that's cool. I think the whole plan of doing it is very goofy, and I guess it's kind of a way to force you into gaming scenario. And the thing is, he doesn't even help you really. But it's very confusing because even the hacker lady is like, oh, thank you so much for your help. It's very important. When actually all he's doing is like talking to the Team Star leaders and like getting information for the sake of figuring out what happened with like bullying incidents in the academy. Like he's trying to figure it out, which is good for a head of an academy to do. It's just very goofy how it's done. But yeah, I liked it. Like he's clearly trying to do the right thing, and he does the right thing. I think the conclusion of this storyline is a positive because all the Team Star leads get is community service for like for the shit they do, like making their bases and whatnot. Still kind of a weird punishment, but it's fine. It's treated as a positive thing because like, hey, that's not actually fun. We get a chant and we get to go back to school. Like, yeah, that resolves stuff. And I probably need to talk about it now as a Clavel. But that's the other thing. When you battle him, before you battle him, the thing he does is he's like, oh, I'm actually the hacker person. And I'm like, oh shit, because I thought it was Penny. I was like, that's actually surprising. And my brain was like, that doesn't make sense at all, though. But I was like, okay, I'll run a bit, battled him. And then he's like, I'm not actually the hacker person. I just need to test you. I'm like, just say you need to test me. I've been having training battles with Nimona this whole fucking game. You don't need to give like a like some reason for us to have a proper fight. Like, it's shit like that that's very weird with his character. And again, he's like trying to be hip with the kids, and it's just like, oh, fucking hell. They're not great at writing old people, but I think Clavel has enough good stuff going on that he's saved from like being ranked badly, you know? Like the good outweighs the bad with this guy, and I think he does manage to make it to great tier. I think his shortcomings put him at the bottom of great tier, but I do acknowledge him as an actually good character for Pokemon standards, especially. But Penny, this is the actual hacker lady, and she's supposed to be one of the three main characters besides yourself, and I don't get it. It doesn't come across that way until you get the reveal that she is the leader of Team Star. And she's put us against Team Star. It's the whole thing. It's very hard to explain. And I'm gonna get like a fucking a migraine doing it. If I haven't already, I'm going insane. What was I? Yes. So basically. God, I'm actually losing it. I'm losing it. Just thinking about it. She is so infuriating. Yeah, basically, when you get like assigned your main quest, a star game for like a tutorial thing, This lady called Cassiopeia, or whatever the fuck the name is, hacks your phone. That's already a red flag. It's like, hey, I need you to do this thing for me. I'm going to say you've declared war on Team Star. Like, okay, let's chill out. I never said that. And then she bribes you with league points that she stole. Using hacking, she's basically just taken them from the bank. She's robbed a bank, essentially. I don't know the specifics with that, but that's basically the equivalent of what she's done using the hacking stuff. Which, that's not good, is it? And then you go on to Team Star, the group she's founded, and all her friends who care very much about like the team and also about her, even though they haven't even met her in person or even know her real name or even know what she looks like, even though they go to the same academy. So I don't know why she was hiding her identity from in the first place. Like, if we were talking about like an online relationship, then if you were willing to depict that, then like stuff like real name and stuff just not being known, that's fine. That's normal. But when you're on a small island and you go to the same school, why are you hiding your identity? It's so confusing. There's no reason for it. I don't think she ever gives a motive for it. And her motive for taking down Team Star and crushing all their dreams, just making them all depressed, making matters worse. Her reason is, well, they're going to get excluded from school and they're not coming back to school because they're doing Team Star stuff. I don't know why they're not coming. I don't fucking remember. I don't care to remember. It's really dumb. As much as I like the Team Star bosses, I think just the whole like setting for that is really poorly executed. And it doesn't really make much sense. And I know I haven't properly understood it. I don't know, but I know whatever explanation it is, it's not good. I could be right with what I've said, like completely right there, but I think I'm missing some details there. But anyway, it's very unjustified because she could just explain this to them, you know? And if they say no, then that's their decision. You're just going to make matters worse if you, you know, if you just destroy their base and have someone fight them, you know? And it just seems a bit extreme for such a mediocre reason, you know? I don't get it. I don't get why. And then we're supposed to act like this whole disguise thing is such a big shock, even though she shows up right after you have a call with her, with the hacker lady. She shows up. I'm like, yeah, that's not suspicious at all. And that's the only time she shows up. She'll show up to like give you league points, and that's literally it. Like, there's not really much of an interaction between you. Like, Karaida like licks the air next to her. She's supposed to be licking her face, but animation fucked up, I guess. And before that, the only time you meet it is when there's some Team Star grunts who are like, hey, you want to join us? And they're like, no. And you kind of confront them. And this is back when you're supposed to have the impression that they're bullies. But I think they just asked if they wanted to join them. So even then, you're like, hey, this isn't right. And you do it. And that's how she knows who you are. And that's why it's immediately blatant who this lady is. Like, as soon as you see Penny show up in the main quest, like, oh, this is a recurring character. Then it's going to be the hacker person because it can't be anyone else. Because that's the only person who knows you outside Nimona at the academy and Arvin. But they're doing their own main quest. So, yeah, very poorly done. Her motivations were terrible too. Like even if it was a blatant surprise, I wouldn't really mind it. I would just find it funny. But the thing is, her reasoning is so daft. It is so fucking brain dead. And she receives no consequences. And I've looked at people who have been making these same points I've been making on like Reddit and shit. I was looking at what people think of Penny. I'm like, okay, I'm glad she's not like this beloved character. But people will defend her. And people will say, well, actually, she got community service. She did not get community service. All the other team star bosses got community service, despite the stuff they did being way more minor. You know, the only crimes they didn't even do any crimes per se. They just broke like a handful of academy rules and got community service for breaking school rules. Makes no sense. She got no punishment initially. The only she gets punishment is because she's like, well, I'll do community service with them. Like, that's good for you, Penny. You're not going to atone for your fucking sins doing community service willingly, though, are you? And then later when you go to the office, I'm like, oh, thank God, she's here. And she tells Clavel, hey, actually, I may have been hacking bank accounts. Yeah, that's a bit of a big deal. So, yeah, the champion, Gita, which another reason why I don't really care about her, because her decision on this, because Pokemon has no proper law enforcement on this island, I guess. She's like, oh, that's actually quite clever. I'm not going to punish you. And when you graduate, you can work for the Pokemon League. What the fuck? She stole thousands of league points. Thousands. Nearly 100,000, I think, I amassed from doing the Team Star thing. Actually, insane. It's so dumb. And she forces you on the quest because the game's like, a main quest, can't do it. Even though it's like, well, it's a hackerverse, I like the Team Star bosses. So she's not likable at all when she reveals this and tries to explain her motives, and her explanation is really daft. And she's like, oh, I betrayed you guys. I'm sorry. Like, she doesn't want to be forgiven because it's bad. I'm like, yeah, that's good. When the Team Star bosses forgive her because they're just too good for her, you know, they're too nice. And that's supposed to be like a happy moment. And I'm like, yeah, I'm happy for the Team Star bosses. I'm not happy for Penny. Penny should be treated as a villain. She should be arrested for trying to play Watch Dogs with the league point shit. Also hacking my phone, violating my rights, my privacy. Data protection act, you fucking bitch. And then it gets worse. It gets worse because she's one of the main characters, it turns out, even though, as I mentioned, she only shows up at the beginning and only shows up to give you league points. That's all she does beforehand. And she's like, oh, thank you, I'm forever in your debt. If you want me to do something, let me know. I'm like, oh no, this is setting up for the final section of the game. We go to Area Zero with your best friends, right? Nimona and Arvin, two guys you've been hanging with since the start of the game. Remember me at the start. Arvin, you've been doing the Titan, find the Titans with the whole time, and he's got like this really got a lot of depth to him. And Nimona, very excited, but she's still likable at the end of the day. Meanwhile, then there's just Penny, who we haven't really interacted with much. And she's done a terrible thing, hasn't really been punished for it, and now is just here, being an asshole to everyone. She's really mean to Arvin for no reason. They kind of make up, but they do make up, actually. But it's still like, oh, you're really unlikable. You're just a horrible, manipulative bitch. You go in the worst tier. You nearly ruin the final section of the game for me with all your dialogue being fucking abysmal. But fortunately, she kind of goes off, and then you get to do like the AI Saber stuff alone. And thanks fuck for that, because it was really not a fun time. And yet, I just don't. I wouldn't even mind if we didn't have to be friends with her. We don't have to be forced into being friends with her. Like how we were forced into doing the quests. We were forced to just doing what the hacker lady tells us. Now we're forced to be her friend, even if we don't accept her apology. It's dumb. And for a game with like a Pokemon game that has like really improved storytelling and the characters are inoffensive at worst, she just sticks out like a sore thumb. And it's really bad when they try and cram her into being in the main cast at the end. Clavel was more prominent than her. I thought Clavel was like your main ally for the Team Starburst stuff, not Penny. Penny should have been the final villain of that arc. Oh, it's so dumb. It's so dumb. I hate her. Moving on. Nimona. Now, Nimona, I think, is a good character. I think she's pretty great. Probably put her higher. I don't think she's probably at the high best. I'll put her behind Como because I like Como so much. But I do think she's really good. I mean, at the start, and she's your equivalent of a rival, and I really like that the rivals are like you have a friendly rivalry now, instead of there being a really generic angsty character who you name for some reason. Why was that ever a feature of Pokemon games? Why would you name your rival who shows up like 3 times? Why was that a decision? I don't care what his name is. So yeah, I don't like the old rivals. She's definitely the best rival in the franchise. I assume, again, this is the only Pokemon story I really know anything about. But I can already tell this is probably better than most stuff Pokemon have done. Possibly all of it. And Mona's good. Like, she can be a bit irritating sometimes because she's very, overexcited and stuff. Like, enthusiastic about Pokemon battling. I'm like, lady, I just want to complete the Pokedex. I don't want to fucking assault animals. Please, stop. But the thing is, and I guess it's kind of relatable for anyone who played a Pokemon game before, she's already a champion. She's already done the gyms, got a gym badge, and beat the Elite Four and the champion. And that's a really cool idea for a character. Someone who's already gone through what you're currently going through, and she's helping you along the way with battles and stuff, and just informing you about stuff going on. And and she has a lot of depth, and I think a lot of it's not really stated, but how I've interpreted it, I don't know if it's intentional, but I'm pretty sure her whole excitement and clinginess to the player is the fact that she's lonely due to the fact she's at champion rank, and there's not really anyone for her to battle at her level, and she just wants to have a true battle where she can just do her thing. Which she finally gets to do at the end of the Victory Road quest, which is cool. And all the characters show up at the end to watch you do battle. And I'm like, that's nice. Also, she picks Sprigatito, not Quaxley. And anyone who doesn't pick Quaxley is cool. Another fun deal is that Clavel actually gets the unchosen starter, because that star comes along with him. And I think that's very clever. I think that's a very clever detail. But yeah, I like Nimona. I just think a lot of times she can be a bit irritating. Not as much as Penny, though. And I unfortunately don't think she was written that well in the final section. I don't think either Penny and Nimona were written well in the final bit. They kind of just weigh down the creator final quest thing, because it feels and even Arvin to some extent, it feels like they were dumbed down so Penny can seem really smart compared to him, and it's just irritating. Their interactions are just annoying. Arvin and Nimona never really got along. They become friends at the end, and I'm like, that's nice, but it was just annoying getting to that point. But yeah, I like her interactions with you. She's a nice friend. So yeah, I do think she deserves great tier. But again, it's kind of Clavel. But she's a lot better than Clavel. But she does have her shortcomings. Next is Arvin, and this is your third main character here. Arvin is the best Pokemon character in the franchise. I assume. He is so fucking good. He just beats every character. If we were just moving stuff down a tier, Arvin probably deserves the best tier to himself. He probably deserves a tier above this. He is such an incredible character for Pokemon game standards. He is insane. He has an insane amount of depth. He is really likable, and it's crazy because when he's introduced, he's like kind of arguing with Nimona or whatever. And I'm immediately like, oh, I wonder who the grumpy, angsty rival character's gonna be. But he's not. He gives you Grind's ball, which is later revealed because her mom is Professor Zeta, or dad is the other one. I can't remember his name now. Tudo, I think. I can't remember. It's weird how, depending on the version you get a different professor. Even though I'm pretty sure they're the same character. You know, like in terms of their role and their personality. Could be wrong. I haven't really checked the bio playthrough. I'm playing Scarlet, so I'm just going to refer to Seda. Which, same for when I rank these two. I'll rank them in the same slot, because I believe they're the same. But yeah, my experience was with Professor Seda, because I just got it. But yeah, that's what's really real. And Arvin, is like also real set. Like, Seda never speaks to him. I haven't spoken to him in years, and what's so interesting is Arvin's not really a Pokemon battler. He doesn't really like to battle Pokemon. And I think that makes him a lot more likable when you think of the logistics about Pokemon battling. It is essentially cockfighting, you know. It is legal cockfighting in the grand scheme of things. Like, obviously, his families, they're not going to take it that seriously. But when a character's like, hey, I don't want to fight, I just like Pokemon, you know? No, like his dog, his Malbostif, he is sick. And basically, they were attacked by, I believe it was revealed to be the other Koraidon, Seda's Koraidon, in Area Zero, because there were two of them. That's always like, Arvin's like, kind of grumpy about Koraidon and gives Koraidon's ball to you in the first place, is because, you know, he thinks Koraidon's ruined his childhood because, you know, that's like a whole fucking example of like his mom's work and the reason why he's being neglected because of these fucking paradox Pokemon. And I'm like, that's understandable. You know, there's a lot of depth there and there's a lot of emotions the character has. And his arc is very good. You know, when you're battling the time Pokemon, each time you get Hermesca, Malbostif slowly gets better. Except for the fourth one, when nothing happens. And the fifth one, it seems like nothing happens. And you get this cutscene, this really wholesome cutscene, where Arvin kind of walks off. And he's very sad. Because he says, like, oh, Malbostif, you did your best. And then, like, he drops a Pokeball. And then Malbostif gets up and he picks up and hands it to Arvin. So fucking wholesome. As I mentioned, I don't care about a lack of voice acting in Pokemon, but I do think the properly animated cutscenes like that, I feel they were made, they were blatantly made with voice acting in mind, because they transition to a whole cutscene. It's not just like text dialogue; it's a proper cutscene with subtitles, and the mouth movements are identical to what they're saying. So I don't know why there isn't voice acting. It's weird. But anyway, a very, very emotional moment. And yeah, the time quest line is probably my favourite. Because the times themselves are really cool. And I remember I battled the desert one, which was level 44, which it doesn't show you the level because they're treated as boss fights, so they have a boss health bar instead. But that was level 44. And I was like in the level 20s when I went there because I was trying to do the water gym, which was the fifth thing I did. So the fourth thing I did was a level 44 thing in this game, which is crazy. I love how you can do whatever you want in this game, in like the order you do the 18 different main quest goals. Really cool. And there's a lot beyond just that in the open world and whatnot. Like, there's still a ton for you to do with the game. But I digress. That one's really cool. And he like warms up to you, and even warms up to Koraidon, which is nice. And like, because the thing he put is, instead of like Pokemon battling, his thing is cooking, because there's like a whole sandwich mechanic. And he likes cooking because he had to start cooking because his mom just never comes home, so he needs to cook for himself and also his pupper Malbostif. So that's like his childhood dog, you know, his childhood friend. And he loves my boss so much because my boss is the only person who's been there for him, because it's not his mom or his dad. And yeah, that's just very wholesome. And I didn't even want to battle him because he uses my Mastiff in battling. I don't want to hurt my Mastiff. What a lovely Pokemon. I think Arvin's my Mastiff way more iconic than Ash's Pikachu. Just putting that out there. If we were ranking those, then I think your Koraidon and Arvin's my Mastiff, they do feel like characters as well, and they'd probably go in the best as well. I think they're very wholesome. So yeah, Arvin's great, and there's probably some stuff I forgot to cover with him because there's so much going on with his character, and it's really cool. He's definitely the best Pokemon character in my opinion that I've experienced. Again, I'm not familiar with most of the franchise, but I'm very doubtful that anything is topping this character. I'm so surprised to be saying that. But yeah, lastly, we do have the final boss, the Professor. I don't think the Professors are that important. They kind of just talk to you about, Koraidon's learned this new ability, and they kind of mention they're doing some research. Because they're stuck in a crate, you don't actually see them in person until the end of the game, nor do you interact with them much. So they're very minor until the end, and it feels kind of rushed. But once I got to the battle and all the stuff going on there, like the very end is a Koraidon mirror match, and that's so fucking cool. That's how you unlock Koraidon's battle form, and I thought that was really cool. That was a very good final battle. And here's an example of an actually good twist, unlike the penny twist. Turns out that the Professor Seda, or the other one, I'll just say Seda here, they've actually been dead for a long time. And it's the reason Arvin's mom's never just stopped coming home for a while. Because they always focused on their work, but they would like write emails and come home and stuff. But then she just stopped one day. And he was never sure why. And he hadn't talked for years. And the reason was she had died, and the only thing left was an AI that looks like him and replicates the Professor's goals, motives, and like personality stuff. And that's really wholesome. Wait, what? Wholesome? No, I'm thinking of something else. No, that's not wholesome. That's fucking sad. I lost my mind doing this to this. But what's wholesome is that when you beat her, because the AI realized that like Seda's work isn't actually a good thing. Like the thing she always wanted was for like the Paradox Pokemon, which are like Pokemon from the past, or the future. She got the dude in Violet. But the thing is, that's not really feasible because they would just destroy the island. So unleash them, not good. So time travel needs to be stopped. And because she's actually connected to it, she needs to. And I thought she was going to destroy herself. I thought she was going to fucking jump off the big tower. She's like, Jesus Christ, are we going to see a fucking suicide in Pokemon? But no, she just sends herself back in time. Because that's what her dream was to just like be in the past. Because she likes being in the past with like all the Paradox Pokemon there. And so that's what AI Seda goes to do. And that's very wholesome. And at the end, like she says, because she's like pretending like the real Seda or something. So she tells Arvin that she really did love him. And that's really sweet. And then she goes away. And that was a very emotional ending. So yeah, very good character. And I was very surprised because it was only the very final battle. I was like, well, I'd like properly turn around on the final section of the game. Because I think from a gameplay standpoint, it wasn't that fun because you couldn't ride Koraidon, so it was taking a while to get from point A to B, and you were just going from one of the science lab rooms to another to unlock the door, whilst catching like a few new Pokemon that you'd find in Area Zero. So it kind of dragged out, and again, I was getting very annoyed by the character interactions. But once we got to that, that reveal and everything, very cool. It was quite sudden, but it felt right in the end. So I think it was a very good final boss. So for Seda and the other guy, who I assume has the same like character and whatnot. I don't know why they just didn't have the same person. That's a very odd exclusive to have like a different character who's still the same character technically. I don't hate it. I just find it weird. I do think they make it to the best AI things. I don't know. I just really like the twist. I don't think them as character. I don't know. I think their role is just very well done, and the twist is very well done, and the final balance is very well done. So yeah, it's not like some generic like evil robot. Like they clearly have like the emotion to say and whatnot, and they just kind of like force the value due to like some like the security precautions that trigger them to do it. And I think that's very clever. I liked it. So yeah, I am going to put them in the best at the bottom. They just about make it. Because again, before like the very end, they're very irrelevant. I'll say how much. And unlikable too, because all we know as, oh, it's Arvin's neglectful parent. Cool. Hello. But yeah, that's going to do it for this list. I'll put up this final view for you all and probably see the list. I think I've ordered this well. I think I agree with that. The Team Star grunt, by the way, is supposed to be common. So yeah, thank you for watching this video. Arvin is the best character in Pokemon, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.